economics really plays into how people should be making decisions when it comes to politics, in my opinion. Economics really tells you how people are going to react to different things. And I mean, how have you felt like that background of yours has impacted your ability to inform those in power ultimately?
It is ultimately about the same set of questions. My random friend in college was right. It's about, how do people make decisions? How do we collectively as a society make decisions when there isn't an infinite supply of things, when we have to make grown-up choices? That's ultimately how you have to make decisions about bills on Capitol Hill or campaigns, or if you're in business, how you allocate your precious resources to make your business thrive. So I found it to be an incredibly helpful grounding for all kinds of things that I've done in my career, but yes, most especially in politics and in government.
And it's important for buy-in. An issue that which has been a disaster, especially the last 10 years with politicians, is figuring out how to get that buy-in from people, mainly due to the partisanship. People are ignoring what's best for them because their political party is pushing them in another direction or has some ideology, whether it's far nationalism or foreign socialism, that ultimately is really tough to make work in the American system of politics. Thank God.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it used to be much more the case that you decided first how you felt about things, and on the basis of that, you decided what party you were in. It used to be 50 years ago that you had a ton of liberal Republicans. That was actually a thing, like a Nelson Rockefeller style Republican, a Charlie Bass style Republican, relatively what we would call today liberal. Don't forget that it was Richard Nixon who created the EPA, right? I mean, the politics of the Republican Party, the politics of the Democratic Party used to be very, very different. Nowadays, everything's been turned on its head. Your party defines how you feel about things. Look no further than what's happened over the last 5 years to Republicans under the leadership of Donald Trump. What is the Republican position on trade? It ain't what it was 5 years ago. And that's because, you respond to the leader says it's X, and now it's X. And Democrats are not immune from that kind of thinking as well. Absolutely not. But I do think, and I do another show on WKXL called Great Ideas, that I think really would appeal to, if people associate themselves with what you were just saying, then they should really check out the Great Ideas show, which is on Thursdays. Because what I do is I interview experts from across the ideological spectrum. And I ask them what their innovative ideas for policy and government are. And I try and do it totally agnostic to where they're coming from on the political spectrum. So just last week, we had a guy, he wrote the budget plan for Mitt Romney's presidential campaign in 2012, right? Like, he is a very serious operative in Republican politics. He's at a highly conservative think tank. His whole point was, let's stop making all this policy at the federal level. Let's devolve a lot more power to the states. Well, this is the kind of thing that liberals, kind of throw up at when they hear. But his point, and it's worth listening to if you're a Democrat, is, we could really lower the temperature in Washington. 80% of counties in America are landslide counties, meaning they vote by 20 points or more for either Democrats or Republicans in presidential elections. So they're pretty homogenous. They're pretty ideologically the same. But once we get to Washington, everyone is at loggerheads and we're stuck. We're in a quagmire on all kinds of policy issues. And if we're willing to allow a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more diversity, maybe we'd fight about fewer things. And maybe progressives who want more progressive policy would get more of what they want in more of America. It's just an interesting idea to think about.